Subnautica, Subnautica, Subnautica. I can't help but shake my head at this title. And why am I shaking my head, you ask? I'm lamenting the fact that I had put off this game for so long. Subnautica is an underwater survival game, and therein lies my problem. It was, and is, if you so choose, a survival game.
Radio online. Broadcasting emergency distress signal.
I'll be very upfront. I am apprehensive about survival games. My only experience with such was with Minecraft, and even in that game, I preferred the creative mode. Simply put, when you have to manage resources, make sure you have enough food, drink, energy, shelter, and other miscellaneous knickknacks to proceed, it always sounds like busy work to me. Games were meant for entertainment, not busy work. I never quite saw the appeal until the trailer for Subnautica's sequel, Below Zero, caught my eye. Then, while browsing the games in PlayStation's Days of Play program, I stumbled on and very reluctantly dived into the first game of Subnautica. Subnautica puts you into the shoes of Riley Robinson, a crew member of the spacefaring vessel, the Aurora. The game begins with the Aurora in flames, and you, the player character, boarding a lifeboat to make your escape. One crash landing later, and you are on the aquatic world of Planet 4546b. Unlike, say, Minecraft, where you're plopped in the middle of nowhere with no context for you being there, Subnautica has a story behind it. While your initial aim is to make sure you survive the crash, you can't quite help but think in the back of your mind, why did the Aurora crash? Where are the other crew members? Where exactly are you? Are there other intelligent life forms on this planet? All these questions, these stories, are answered for in-game. That's right, stories as in multiple. The game has a lot of different threads not necessarily related to you, but which somehow connects back to your situation. You're never quite given exposition up front about any of this. Instead, you're given little hints. A PDA message here, an abandoned base there, a creepy cryptic radio signal.
9 new biological subjects designated. Mode. Hunting.
It's all spread out with little breadcrumbs that'll keep you guessing and engaged as you venture deeper and deeper. Now, admittedly, without any spoilers, while the story ends up intriguing, the payoff is not as loaded as some people might want. But just the fact that there is a story behind everything that's happening, and how it's slowly revealed to you by clues and context, makes it a worthy highlight of the game.
Life Support Systems Online.
Speaking of game, what exactly do you do in Subnautica? At the core of it, your basic task is to make sure you have enough food and water to live, and that your character is healthy and safe to explore. This boils down to you initially using the resources in your little life pod. You have a fabricator to cook, disinfect water, and to make other tools and items. Meanwhile, another machine doles out health packs to tend to your injuries. All the while, you're diving around in the seabed with your limited oxygen to get you the resources you need for the fabricator, both to live and to explore. Just like how the story is presented, Subnautica takes a very hands-off approach to teaching players about this. You have a basic tech tree on your PDA to nudge you along, but for the most part, the game expects you to figure things out for yourself. There is no map here, no NPCs directing you where to go, and even the aforementioned PDA does not show you everything you can make until your curiosity leads to finding a piece of debris or something that unlocks the new craftable.
New blueprint acquired.
In this regard, Subnautica gives the player the enjoyment of finding new locations and new resources. It gives you that eureka moment of discovering faster ways of travel, and that moment of wonder as you stumble across an unknown creature or bio. This brings me to one of the main reasons why Subnautica inverted my apprehension of survival games. Its ease of progression. Again, with Minecraft as a background, survival games for me were a fast-paced time trial. The moment you're plopped in, the clock is ticking to make sure you have food, water, and shelter against the elements. Subnautica does the same, except if this were a race, it gives you a very generous head start. You begin with a decent amount of food, water, and a little safe space to start your exploration from. In fact, your starting point has little to no threats against you. Everything you can find around you is beneficial, and the fact that you're not being attacked in some way or form encourages you to approach the life forms and the world around you to check them out. What began as foraging for little fish to feed yourself and disinfecting bleach for water slowly evolves into creating vehicles to traverse the vast ocean and perhaps one of the best modular base building systems I've ever seen in a game. With your options for survival broadening, you the player are empowered more and more to explore those murky landmarks in the distance. It gives you something that says, hey, you're safe here now, but with this, you can risk going even further. And further you will go, because there's something in the distance that has caught your eye. Unlike most other games of the survival genre, Subnautica is not procedurally generated. It's a handcrafted world, and as such, the developers have left quite a few landmarks which are sure to ruffle a player's curiosity and sense of exploration. For example, the Aurora itself for starters, it's in the middle of your view since the beginning. Then you have sudden drops of seabed, a network of cave systems, an island far off in the distance, a collection of plant life and weird and wonderful bioluminescent creatures that have you staring at them for a few seconds. Due to the age of the game, I think it's safe to say that all these places are not the strongest graphically. Aesthetically, however, the game hits all the right notes. It manages to toe a good line between feeling alien and at the same time feeling familiar enough that you can acknowledge what you're seeing as a wonderful underwater landscape, capable of instilling a desire for exploration. This sense of aesthetic also extends to the creature design. A lot of creatures and locations you see give off a sense of familiarity that encourages you to take a closer look. Or at least they do, initially. And then, it will happen. All of a sudden, while you are foraging the depths for the parts of a vehicle you can build, you will hear a sudden roar. You look around from your submersible, but by then, it would be too late. That hostile creature will have you in its clutches and eaten you whole.
Are you here to play? Others came here once. They built these walls. They played alone. They bored me. Now they're gone. And instead, we have you.
So far you might have been deceived into thinking Subnautica is a very easy game. The game is here to tell you otherwise. What Subnautica does is ease you into its aquatic world, but at the end of the day, it is a survival game. It expects you to survive. It expects you to face hostility to get the resources you need. It starts off simple enough with creatures that bite and snap at your heel, and then maybe an odd little fish that kamikazes you in the gullet. But then, it slowly evolves into larger, more terrifying monstrosities. Honestly, a lot of what these creatures are, and what they can do, will completely blindside and amaze a new player. So for the sake of spoilers, we'll stop there. Just know that the very prospect of meeting new creatures will invoke both a sense of wonder and a sense of dread. This does not pertain to only creatures either, but the environment, sound effect, and soundtrack as well. Subnautica's progression has you start in the shallows and then go deeper and deeper into the planet's aquatic depths. You might initially be spurned on by the weird and wonderful things you've seen, But as you progress, with more aggressive creatures around, things might start to feel a little more scary, a little more unnerving. The lower you go, the less light penetrates the depths and the darker it becomes. What was initially a coral system teeming with life and little life forms becomes caverns and huge dark areas where every little glow and every little movement catches your eye. Your scuba mask HUD feels a little tighter, a little more claustrophobic, and you begin eyeing your oxygen meter a lot more. The game's synthwave music, which previously seemed relaxing, comforting, and not too standoffish, starts to feel a little more sinister. Subnautica, ladies and gents, delivers in that one aspect of a survival game which is oft forgotten. This is an unknown, uncharted alien world, and you will learn to fear it.
Detecting multiple Leviathan-class life forms in the region. Are you certain whatever you're doing is worth it?
Now, while I'm all for telling you the game is good from start to finish, it unfortunately lags a bit at the end. Sure, you end up building an amazing base and an amazing vehicle and have some amazing tools to traverse even deeper, but then, due to the resources required for this amazing stuff, you're often discouraged from taking risks. While it felt like the initial game encouraged you to fiddle and explore, the late game feels like it encourages you to be careful instead, which, in my case, boiled down to a lot of saving due to the risk of losing my investment. Even your methods of traversal become slow and cumbersome, as opposed to the more free-form exploration you had at the beginning. That sense of backlash is very key, as you're then asked to retread all the areas around the world to fulfill your final objective. The game is also not without its bugs and glitches. Objects often take some time to pop in, and there's a very high chance that you might end up getting stuck under something and losing all your oxygen. But generally speaking, those are the only aspects of this game which I did not like. But don't let that stop you. Subnautica is a game well worth its time. It delivers on all the good and the bad involved in what survival means, the wonder of exploration and progression, the challenge, and most importantly, the fear of actually trying to survive in an aquatic world. It's a game which has, at least for me, inverted my views on a genre. With the release of Subnautica's sequel, Below Zero, the original game tends to be on discount a lot and is available on a multitude of platforms. So even if you might not like the idea of managing resources or diving into some alien seascape, it might well worth be your time to take a dip into the shallows of Subnautica.